I just need it to be normal now.
La, 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 la.
Alright, hello, welcome back to Ballroom. Today we're doing another hustle video. This time we're going to teach you how to do the hammerlock. Let's get right into it.
The leader's footwork for this hammerlock and hustle. So what happens is we do a basic, but I have to go rotate to my left first and then come back around to my right. So what my feet do if I go from this perspective, so I go back, replace or slightly forward, my left foot rotating left, and then side or back with this right foot to make half a turn. And then I have to come back the other way, now rotating to the right. So I go back on my left foot, forward right foot, side or back with this left foot, and then back on my right foot. So timing wise, I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I had to rotate left first facing her the entire time, and then rotate back around again where I came from. So one last time I went back, forward, forward, back, back, forward, back, back. My hands, I lead an outside turn and then an inside turn to end it, which is much easier to show with Lindsay together. Okay, what it would look like with syncopated timing. I would go and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. If I do it one time from the side here, I would go and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3.
All right, ladies footwork, let's do this. We're gonna do a turn to the right. So we go back, forward, forward turning, ending back. So if you've learned our right and left turns, we're just using those same turns, starting with our right turn. So we go back, forward, forward turning, half of a turn, back. So to get out of it, we're actually gonna do a left turn. So from here, we go back, forward, side ending back, back to get out. Again, from this angle, right foot back, left foot forward, right foot side ending back, left foot back. Just to show the footwork for the second half with my back to the camera so you can see. So I already finished my first half. I go back, forward, side, back, just for, you know, clarity's sake. That together, we go back, forward, forward turning, back. To get out, back, forward, side, back. With the timing, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Timing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. With the syncopated timing, what this would look like, same steps, we would go and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Now we'll talk about arms and stuff when Chris gets back.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Key points, hammerlock. So I lead a outside turn here, a right turn, as you've learned in previous videos. So I pick up my left hand like I would lead this outside turn, just as normal. Except now what I do is I keep holding on to her with my right hand to her left hand. I lower this hand as this one comes up. Just as important, when we did the cradle, we lifted one hand, we lowered another one. I have to do the same thing here so that she can comfortably bend and fold her arm behind herself, and we get into what is called is the hammerlock position, right? If I leave my right hand a little bit too high as she goes to turn underneath, then she gets caught here with this kind of chicken wing thing. So I have to lower it enough so that she can then flip her arm around, and then we end up again back to this hammerlock position. So with your partner, if you're dancing with somebody, get to this place, relax the shoulders, feel super, super light about it. If you're really, really tense and too turned away from each other, then this position could be very, very uncomfortable, especially, not really for me, but definitely for her. So we're facing each other, which is super important, and very, very relaxed in this position. So if you try that first, like without doing any of the footwork, you just lift this hand, she walks underneath, you let that elbow fold underneath, we get to this position again, and then I exit with the inside turn, or the left turn. So my left hand comes up again, in between our faces to let her out, and I'm just holding out my right hand the whole time here, right? So in terms of hands, lift and lower, fold around, and then bring in between the faces again, hands super, super light.
One more time, let's do it from this side so they can see like which hand you're using.
So again, as I go lifting up my left hand, plenty of space in between my hand and her face, into the hammerlock position, and then left hand comes up in between us again. And again, we just practice this a few times first with just using the arms, and you can kind of just walk with the feet. So for example, I'm just gonna walk, we're both just gonna walk as we get to this position, and then we're just gonna walk out of this and go, yes, we feel comfortable with these arm positions.
So ladies, again, just like you did for the cradle already, make sure your arms are a little bit toned, but not so toned that he can't really move you, and then if he forces it, it's really gonna hurt your shoulders, so try to just be relaxed. Of course, you don't want to be complete spaghetti arms. We already know from previous dances that it's really hard to dance with somebody who has no energy or tone in their own arms, so just make sure that it's not so toned and so strong that it disallows him from actually leading you comfortably and prevents injury, because it can actually really hurt. Another tip is it would be great if he helped turn your hand in, your left hand in towards yourself. If it's, you know, if it doesn't happen, just make sure that your palm is facing away from you. That way it doesn't get all twisted up. So you can see in the hand in the back, my left hand, my palm is facing out. So that's the end position. And like Chris said, just keep with your partner so it's not all contorted.
More space is better, just like the outside turn. I don't go attack her head with my hand and get this super, super tight and uncomfortable, so I leave a lot of space over her head as we dance this. Even with this arm behind her,
Connection there.
Even with this arm behind her, I gave her too much space. I don't want to go at her body here. If I go at her body and it's too congested, she won't be able to flip her arm over. So I gave her still low and a lot of space, and the more contrast between these two hands, the easier and the clearer the lead and the follow is going to be. The hand also lowers as I'm exiting. So when we're here, you can see my right hand, I also bring it down as she exits out of it so she can then flip and doesn't get her elbow wrenched.
I would say the way out is pretty comfortable, speaking for the ladies at least. Mm-hmm. The way in, in the beginning, definitely practice without worrying about the feet.
And you see each other the whole time. We see each other here, she turns, she goes back to see me again at the end, she turns and goes back to see me, but I'm looking at her the whole time. It is very difficult to do this pattern well. If I go and look away from her as we go turn, and I look away again, I won't be able to shape correctly towards her.
Also, what happened there when he looked away is if I didn't move my head, I would have gotten knocked right in there from his arm. So just like I think I mentioned in the cradle, make sure, guys, when you're lifting this arm for her to turn, make sure it's also the elbow. So that way you don't have any problems, unless you're like 7 feet tall and you don't have to worry about it. But more, normal people, you're gonna have to worry about that elbow.
So now with the feet. So we rock back 1, replace 2, and I start to lead the turn of my hands. 3, 4, we're now in this finished position, nice and relaxed. We both rock away, super, super small, just like you would in all the other patterns, all the other basics. If we both rock big here, we'll totally feel...
You'll lose this connection for sure.
So super, super small, and then forward, so we can unwind again, back to the beginning. Super small, I'm trying to accommodate her as best I can as I watch her the whole time, and just make space for her instead of dancing away from her and being too far away, and there's a lot of ways this pattern can get very uncomfortable.
So the biggest thing while you're in that connection that can be really comfortable, like he said, is taking a really small step back, but also to get into it. Ladies, instead of going forward, back necessarily, depending on how far away he is, we might want to close the feet there to make it more comfortable, and then we can take a small step back. So in terms of closing or taking a small step back, as mentioned before in different videos, it's sort of interchangeable. It's a little more comfortable balance-wise to take that step backwards. If you do, just make sure it's a very small step. Or if my partner or I somehow got really far away here, it's much more comfortable to close the feet because now the space is good. If I took a step back, I already feel a lot of pressure here, so it's gonna be really hard to step back there, and we might actually lose that grip.
So putting this pattern to some basics, we could do the stationary basics before and after. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If we go from a rotating basic now, so if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I go and lead the pattern, We could do that in between rotating basics, and then I could just continue again back on my path. This pattern sometimes is uncomfortable to lead when you have a lot of momentum because you're now going to ask her to go in the opposite direction that she's comfortable with. When we do a rotating basic, we're going around to the left, passing each other on our right sides, and then to lead this pattern, I have to go and switch that direction, and we have to now pass each other on our left sides and change momentum that we're looking for. So I, as a leader, maybe if we do it from right here, if we just do rotating basics, I'm more on the left track of each other. And then what I have to do to lead this pattern is I have to now redirect myself, and you can see I'm now on the left side of her than being on the right side of her. At the very beginning, I'm a little bit more on the left side of her, so we can pass by each other each time. When I want to go lead a hammerlock, I readjust myself to now I'm on the right side of her, so she has space to now go underneath for this turn, and then we continue through, and then I can put myself back on the right side of her to continue rotating around. So it's almost a piece of it is a subconscious lead for her that we're changing directions because I'm now gesturing to her which side I want her to go on in relation to me. Whereas if I lead this pattern and I don't adjust, we're just going around here, and I stay on this side of my body and I go to lead this turn, she'll have a very difficult time doing this hammerlock if you don't move yourself to the right side of the path.
So I might be more comfortable just to learn this pattern in between stationary basics to start getting comfortable with it. And then once it's more comfortable, you can, just combine it with more difficult patterns.
If I have somebody who's not super easy to lead but she has a rotating basic and we're going around and having a good time, and then I'm going to do a stationary basic and then I'll go lead this hammerlock. And then from there, we did it, we're successful, and we can now move on. But I can always throw in one stationary basic and then go lead this pattern, and it's a more comfortable transition momentum-wise.
Okay, so we're gonna put that in a little combo for you, maybe with some wheels or basics to music.
Cool.
Alright guys, thank you so much for sticking with us through this video. Be sure to subscribe, turn your notifications on, and like this video. Leave us a suggestion down below what you want to see next. And if you did like this video, be sure to check out our Ballroom Pro section. It's down below in the description box. We have some more patterns for you and the hustle and some other dances, so go check that out. Also, we do have a new course out, or we will have a new course out, depending when you see this, called Party Tricks or something along the lines, and it's basically some cool new moves for dancing alongside with perhaps the hustle. So when you have a fast dance song, you now have some cool dips, a few nice tricks that you can pull out of your pocket. So if you like the hustle dance, then I would suggest that course for you. We'll leave that down below as well. And I think that's about it. Thank you guys so much.